we are. Here are the instructions for the knife tool tessellation. One of the things I want you guys to be aware of is the examples that are shown in the handout. They are hot linked if you want to take a closer look at the file. You can follow it. These are works done by previous students. And our entire goal with the knife tool project is to try to make our patterns that fit together a little bit more interesting. Okay, so you can take a look and see some of the detail that's been added in to each one. Here we have kind of a seahorse and a frightened guitarist ghost type of character. Okay, and we're going to take one of our tessellation files and try to add some detail to it, depending on what you see. Here we have a farmer, an elephant with wings, and a ghost repeating around in a equilateral triangle tessellation. This is probably one of the better ones that any of my students have ever done. Super advanced. Now I'm not expecting that out of everyone, nor will I be showing anything this complex in the demo, but that is where you can take it if you are inspired to do so. But we want to be working with this on one of the previously finished basic square, advanced square, or triangle tessellation shapes that we already know is going to work as a pattern. So I'm going to look in my Illustrator document. I have a couple of layers. I have a basic square layer, I have an advanced square layer, and I have a triangle layer. I'm going to go ahead and copy one shape from each of these. So if I use my selection tool and I select the rectangle, it's going to show me which pattern I made, and I can double click it and just click on one of these. I'm going to go to edit copy. Alright, and I'll cancel out of here and I'll just go up to a new layer, and that will be demo knife. So I'll hide the basic square layer, but I am on the demo knife layer going to paste that shape. I know this shape tiles, so I may work with that. I'm going to turn on the advanced square layer and select it, and then when I look in my swatches, it's showing me the new pattern swatch 2. If I double click it, I can select one of these shapes. If your pattern is grouped, you may have to use the white direct selection arrow to click inside of the shape in order to then edit, copy, cancel out of there, and then yoink, edit, paste. Okay. I'm going to hold the shift key. I could resize that if I want. Changing the scale shouldn't matter when you're dealing with these. And finally, I have my triangle shape. Let me select the shape, double click, so I can grab one of these shapes, copy, say done, and then I'll go to my knife demo layer, paste it in. So when you're doing the knife tool, you need to use your imagination to kind of look at these almost, if we look at them as ink blots or Rorschach tests with the silhouette on. What do you see hidden in the shape? I see kind of a bird beak or an animal head thing here. To me it looks like there's a guy kicking over here. This one I'm having trouble seeing really anything. But let me try reflecting it to the other side. Maybe I can see something there. I see kind of like a nose. Maybe I can do like a cartoonish kind of Phineas and Ferb looking face. This looks like maybe a rhinoceros. So maybe I'll do a back-to-back thing there. Let me start there. Okay, I'm going to move my shapes that I'm not going to work with for the moment off the canvas, and I'm going to focus just on this one. Now, the instructions will tell you this, and I am a big fan of this. Just hold the Alt key down before you get started and drag an extra copy in case you mess anything up. Then you'll have your original shape kind of sitting in reserve. So when I look at this, I can see, I think this will be like a funky nose, and I'll try to have some eyes coming off of here and some hair. So let's grab the knife tool. We go to the eraser tool and click and hold on it, and that gives us the option for eraser, scissors, or knife. Now I always like to hit the tear off window because there's not a keyboard shortcut for the knife tool. Another thing that was brought to my attention is that sometimes if students do not have the workspace at Essentials Classic, sometimes if you're at Essentials and you click and hold on the eraser tool, it doesn't show the knife tool, which I find maddening. They didn't used to do that in Photoshop. So do make sure you're in Workspace Essentials Classic. because that's going to give you the full host of different tools. Okay, we want the knife tool. Now here's how the knife tool works. If I want to separate these two sides of the image, I'm going to click and start dragging my line. What I'm trying to do is create what I think will look like a hairline. I'll do like there's this ear, and we'll have the hair come out. Now I've started and finished my knife tool segment outside the shape and outside the shape. That will allow me to then apply different values to these. Okay, and you can have a different color in each shape. If you only click and drag halfway through, it doesn't cut it fully through. So you do have to start your cut. Like if I want to have an eyebrow here, I'm starting my cut outside and then finishing my cut outside. That way this extra piece can be given a different color. Alright, so the good news is you don't have to use the knife tool for everything, because you're not always going to be bringing things to the edge of your shape. I'm going to take the ellipse tool, for instance, and make a pair of eyes. Now these don't have to go beyond the edge, so I can take these and just kind of leave them there, or maybe I'll rotate them. Hover around, zoom in a little bit, there we go. Hover around there. As long as they don't go outside the bounds of my shape, I'll be good. Okay. But I may also want to use the knife tool on them, so maybe what I'll do is I'll create some eyelids. Select this shape and create an eyelid. Good. Now it's important to know that I'm selecting these shapes before cutting them. You know, if I wanted to create two separate eyebrows, I could cut it in half, but if I don't have something selected and I just start clicking and dragging with the knife tool, it's going to cut anything that it comes into contact with. So I'm going to hit edit, undo knife. Right, now I'll grab my white selection arrow. That looks like eyeshadow. I'm just going to make it look, there we go, like different skin tone. Good. Maybe I'll use my blob brush, Shift B, make a couple of pupils, and then Control, let's see, I'll right click and do arrange, send backward. I don't want to send them all the way to the back, but I do want to send them backward. So Control and the bracket key. Maybe I gotta do this one, bring this eyelid forward. Control and the right bracket key. There we go. So what I like about that is it allows me to establish the look of the face. But again, I'm not going over the edge, so I don't need to deal with it. If I want to draw a nostril, I can use my pencil tool, thank you, and do a nice nostril like that. As long as it's not touching the edge, I'm good to go. If I want to make an accent mark around the nostril like that, again, as long as I'm not coming out here where it's going to mess up the silhouette, I'm good to go. All right, so I want to have some teeth. So for the mouth, I do have to make a change here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the face. It's kind of this light brown skin tone, and I'm going to go ahead and create kind of a smiling face like that. So I'll use my white arrow, select this. This will be the mouth. I want to have some teeth, so I'm going to select the mouth. Maybe I'll do some teeth like that and like that. So I'll select these pieces and make them white, and then back in the mouth we'll have just like a little hint at a tongue. Pink. Alright, so now we've got our little red-headed guy there. Now how about the rhinoceros? Well, that's going to be a little more difficult to pull off, and in fact it may make more sense if we did a rhinoceros on one and a guy with a certain hair color on another. So let me save what I have. Maybe I'll make a quick group out of this. So I'll keep one guy in reserve, and then this one, if I don't like the way the rhinoceros looks, I still have the other guy unchanged. Okay, so this to me will look like the rhinoceros, I think. So we'll go ahead and do the rhinoceros horn, the rhinoceros ear, and maybe I need to be a little bit more loose with that. Go there, go there. Alright, so I'm going to draw just with the pencil tool, kind of an eyebrow thing going on. And then I need to use the knife to do the same thing on the other side. Ooh, did I cut all the way through? I did. Alright, now, it's supposed to be a rhinoceros. To me now it's starting to look a little bit like a dog, but that's okay. Again, maybe I'll do just a regular elliptical shape for the eye. Move it up. Right click on the eyebrow, do a range, bring to the front. There we go. I kind of like what that's looking like. And then maybe we just need another blob brush pupil. I don't even know what a rhinoceros mouth looks like, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of draw it here. Alright, sad looking rhinoceros. Alright, now what if I do a little bit of kind of spiky hair? Let's see if I can get that to work. Alright, I'm going to change this guy's hair back to red. Now we have our red-haired guy and our rhinoceros dog looking creature. Gosh, maybe would have nostrils, so let me draw a quick little nostril there. Select it and ask it to be black on the fill-in. And maybe we'll do a little nostril hook. Yoink. Maybe a couple worry lines or something out here. Some bags under his eyes. He's upset about something, I don't really know. So now we've got our shape. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. Select all these pieces, group it together, and now I can turn this into a pattern. So I'll drag it into my swatches window, and using well, it could be a rectangle, could be an ellipse. I'm just going to make a large shape, and for the fill color I'm going to ask it to have my pattern. Now I need to do some playing around with this, because in order for this pattern to work it has to be rotated and reflected. So I'm going to double click to go in here, and I'm going to take my group, whoops, Control A. Alright, is that grouped? Yeah, I think we're good. Transform, reflect. So I'll do a reflected copy, and that, let's size the tile with the art. There we go. So that should fit in here. Good. So that I reflected on the vertical axis. Okay. Now in order to get this to match up, I have to have another copy. I'm going to do transform, rotate, and we're going to do a 180 degree copy. So once these guys are in place, I can just save what I have. Now I know it's going to match up. I can see nose is going to meet that gap. I just have to go back in here and make a little change. I was sizing the tile with the art, but I'm going to uncheck that now, and I'm going to highlight the width, and it's at 551. I'm just going to start lowering it down. We're at 530. Just pressing the down arrow on the keyboard. I could probably quickly make it like 480 and then just press down. Yeah, everyone's will be different, to be honest, depending on the size of your design. If that was 461, I'll try 465, and then up or down. Nope, pretty close. It's close to square. Okay, so I'll zoom in a little bit. Let's check the edges. Press the up arrow, down arrow. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. So I now have a cool kind of rhinoceros and dude pattern. About the only other thing I might want to play with would be, let me duplicate the swatch, and I could try doing separate colors. So I'll put the second pattern on this one, and I'm going to take every other guy's hair and I'll make him have darker hair, and then maybe I'll take every other rhinoceros and give him like a different rhino tone. Let me undo that, and I'll get this guy and this guy and do darker rhino, lighter even, yeah, sure. So now we're getting a little more variety. I'm going to zoom out. So this one here in the bottom left, the elliptical shape, that's showing the second pattern. This one here is showing the first pattern. Okay. So if I like what I've got, or maybe I just want to pick the second pattern for this one, do save it as knife tool tessellation, and then I'll export a JPEG copy using the artboards, knife tool tessellation. Come on. And then I can add it to my sketchbook.